Welcome everyone. And as a way to keep a clear and compassionate mind, especially in this month where it's supposed to be, the Christmas spirit of peace and love and generosity, but we know how it turns out often, don't we? So as a way to protect our mind with some clarity and some compassion, we'll start with a just really simple breathing meditation. The 9-round breathing is a really nice one to do and to get familiar with. So the 9-round breathing has all different variations of it, from simple to quite complex. And there are many purposes for it. So one is that it balances left and right brain. It balances our kind of internal energies, our nervous system. It's also a really good precursor or prep for if you do tantric practice, because the more detailed version is called clearing the channels. So it clears our subtle nervous system. And it's also, it's how I gave up smoking, because doing the 9-round breathing takes about as long as it takes to smoke a cigarette. And it hasn't. When I was doing the 9-round breathing, I noticed that it has some similarities to smoking cigarettes. The benefit being that it doesn't kill you in the end. Actually, it brings you towards enlightenment. But it has that same thing. You breathe really deeply. You clear your mind of any other thoughts. You've got just a few minutes of just focusing on the breath and nothing else. Like all of these things that kind of having a cigarette does, which I think actually is why cigarette smoking can be so incredibly addictive, because there is that in amongst the the danger to your health is that thing of just deep breathing. When I was a smoker, the only time I ever breathed deeply was to inhale cigarette smoke. It's terrible, isn't it? So, and you kind of release any of the other thoughts and distractions. It has real similarities. That's kind of how every time then I wanted a cigarette, I would do the 9-round breathing. I'd do a few other things to kind of distract myself too, have a cold drink of water or a fisherman's friend, and various other things. But the breathing was the one that did it. The other thing that it's really good for is if you find yourself in a queue of any sort. So most of us get incredibly frustrated in a queue. But doing the 9-round breathing is a really wonderful way to use our time. Or if you're stuck in a traffic jam or anything where you have to wait, because it's just short enough. So let's do that meditation. And first, let's set our posture. So the thing about having a good posture for meditation, again, so that we're comfortable and we can actually kind of sit for the duration of meditating, but it's also that our posture is quite contained, so our energy is contained and most conducive for concentration. The most important part is to have a fairly straight spine. So it doesn't mean that you are uncomfortable about it, but you just adjust it according to how your body feels. And the best way to do it is to imagine a thread of light running through your body from the base of your spine, just in front of the spine, this thread of light running up through your body and coming out the crown of your head. And if you feel that thread of light is being just gently pulled upwards, your posture will naturally extend and your spine will straighten while still keeping the natural curvature. And as you do that, then you should notice that your head then naturally just tilts forward a little, just slightly, and pull the chin in, as if you're about to make a double chin. So that helps keep the alignment of the spine with your crown, but it also helps if you're prone to coughing fits in meditation. It's a kind of shortcut way, just pull the chin in. And then relax the jaw. Put a slight smile on your lips and rest the tongue on the upper palate behind the top teeth. So a relaxed smile, a little like the Mona Lisa smile. Again, it's a neurological trick that usually when we're happy, we smile, but also when we smile, it sends a message to our brain that we're happy. So it's a shortcut way to help us relax. The tongue on the upper palate behind the top teeth is a way of regulating the flow of saliva in your mouth. And then, if you can, have your eyes just lightly open. So this is so some light comes in, which if we close our eyes, it is a way of indicating to our brain that it's time to go to sleep. So if you have your eyes slightly open, it'll help against drowsiness. And your focus, though, can be a couple of meters in front of you, eyes unfocused, looking inwards. Just like when we're reading a book, our eyes are reading the words, but our gaze is inwards. And release any tension from around the eyes, the frown lines, the forehead. Let go of any tension from the neck and the shoulders. Just feel it rolling down the neck and the shoulders, off the tips of the shoulders. Have your hands in your lap, right palm on top of the left with the thumbs lightly touching. So this symbolizes our unification of the two truths and also wisdom supporting our compassionate action. So the left hand, the wisdom side, supporting the right hand, the compassionate action side. And elbows a little out from the torso. They say, like the wings of a bird about to take flight. And this gives us a feeling of being ready to engage in the meditation. So notice the stability of your posture. Make any subtle adjustments. If you need to, if you find you're tipping to one side or the other, if you need to just straighten your spine a little bit more. And then bring your focus to the breath as you're breathing in and breathing out. Try and have your attention about 80% on the breath. The rest, of course, will be our senses, being aware of sights and sounds and sensations, but really leave that on the periphery. You don't have to try and get rid of that, just not focus on it. So have about 80% of your focus on the breath, breathing in, breathing out. And try and keep your focus on all the parts of the breath, the continuously breathing in and the pause, breathing out and the pause. And then to do the 9-round breathing, you can imagine or become aware of the subtle channels in your body. So there is a central channel running from just in front of your spine, about 4 finger widths below the navel, runs through your body, and then curves up around the inside of your skull. And the exit is around about the area between the eyebrows. And often our central channel is all blocked up, so then we have discomfort when we're sitting, we have disease or illness. But try and imagine this central channel as being light, about the width of your little finger, and supple, a little bit like a neon tube, but soft. And there are 2 side channels running parallel, starting from the nostrils, curving around the inside of your skull, going down either side of the central channel, and meeting the central channel 4 finger widths below the navel. So all 3 join up there. So when we do the 9-round breathing, as we're breathing in the air, what we're doing is following with our awareness, following the energy along those channels. So it may or may not synchronize with your breathing, depending how fast you breathe or not. But again, try and follow the breath all the way in and all the way out. So for the first 3 rounds, imagine that you're breathing in through the left channel and you're breathing in radiant, blissful light, energizing light that flows through that channel, curving up around the inside of the skull, down through your body. And as you breathe out through the right-hand channel. And as you breathe out, the golden light that you breathed in, it pushes out all the blackness and darkness, tiredness from your body from that right-hand channel. And so you feel that you breathe out all of the disturbing emotions, any illness or pain, all the afflictive states of mind in the form of black smoke. So 3 long, leisurely breaths. In through the left nostril, breathing in the light. Out through the right nostril, pushing out all of the negativities. When you've finished those first 3 rounds, you can just breathe normally and naturally. For the next 3 rounds, swapping the nostrils over. This time, breathing in through the right channel, following the energizing, blissful light as it flows through that channel, curving up around the inside of your skull, down through your body. And as you breathe out, the light pushes out all of the darkness, the stagnant energy, the afflicted states of mind. It has nowhere to go except to breathe it out in the form of black smoke. So again, 3 long leisurely breaths. And as you're doing these breaths, then really feel how the energizing light flows through those channels, and the channels become clear as the light pushes out all that darkness, that inner stagnation or difficulty, in the form of black smoke that just is such a relief to leave your body. So 3 times, long leisurely breaths. And then for the final 3 breaths, breathing in through both nostrils, both of those side channels, feeling the bright, energizing light flow up through both of those side channels, down through your body, and then breathe out through the central channel. And again, all of those, the inner oppression is breathed out, all the afflictive states of mind, all the tiredness and distraction. Breathe it out in the form of black smoke. Begin to feel that that smoke actually gets a little bit thinner, a bit more like mist as you breathe out even the very subtle negativities. So in through both of the side channels, all the way down to below the navel, and then breathe out through the central channel and feel how it becomes clear and light as you breathe out all of those negativities. And so then if you still feel a bit of heaviness or darkness, you can repeat the whole process again in your own time, the 9 rounds, trying to follow the energy of the light all the way along each of those inner tubes, and feel that those subtle energy tubes become really clear and very radiant. If you feel that it's already done its job, then you can just focus on breathing in the clarifying light through both of the side channels and out through the central channel. And feel how all 3 of those internal channels become supple, clear, those inner channels become radiant, and that light flows through your whole body. And then to bring this first meditation to a close, notice if you feel different than from the beginning of the meditation. Feel how those internal channels are radiant and clear, your body light and energized. Also, just notice if your posture has changed or shifted during the meditation, and if necessary, just straighten your spine a bit, tuck the chin in, returning to the most conducive meditation posture. And dedicate the efforts of this meditation to being able to actually clear our channels, balance our emotions, and then be able to be of the utmost benefit to everyone we encounter throughout the day, the week, the year, and ultimately to be able to bring forth all of our enlightened potential to benefit ourselves and others. And then when you're ready, just slowly bringing your awareness back to the room and moving your posture if you need to. Okay. So, at first in imagination with the channels, but actually those channels are there. So if we eventually our imagination and the actual channels will start matching, will actually become clear and aligned. The way that we settle the posture is quite similar to feeling those internal channels. And once you set the posture up like that, then it should last throughout the meditation session and the next ones, and we become more and more familiar with it. So even if you can't kind of keep the posture correctly for the whole time, if you start in the right posture for as long as it's comfortable. If you need to move, like often I need to move my legs, that's fine. But then try and end the meditation session again in the right posture so that that's your kind of gets into your body memory that way. With the Buddhist meditation, it's not so much focusing on the physical breathing, it's more on the energy. And focusing on the breathing is a way of directing our attention. That's the main thing. So they say to kind of pick one spot or one way to do it and stick with that for a while. So if you find yourself, if you're quite flighty, and highly nervous and just need to calm down and find it really hard to calm down, then focus on the abdomen and have the breathing come from the abdomen, like the bellows of your breathing. So Eddie, who leads a lot of the meditations, he's always saying about that, how to relax, just calm down, let the body breathe itself, breathe from the abdomen, everything. For me, that is the worst possible thing because I'm just like asleep. I don't need to calm down and relax. I need to become alert. So they say if you need to become alert, if being drowsy or sluggish or stagnant or all of those things with no energy, tired, exhausted, if that's your thing, then it's better to focus on the breath as it enters and leaves the nostrils. It's a bit more uplifting. So that's just for general breathing meditation. So it's not like one size fits all. There's ways that we calibrate it. What I have found, and honestly, I'm not an expert, but what I've found with the 9-round breathing is that, like normally I breathe quite fast, but if I follow the breath all the way along, it's like I might breathe out and the breath's still about here, and so then it's still coming out, but it's more like following the energy. And what you'll find is your breath will become a little slower when you're doing that. It won't be the natural kind of rhythm of your breathing. Because actually, for the 9-round breathing, you are controlling it. And so you are actually probably making your breath a little bit slower on purpose. So that's okay. So it's different types of meditation. So one is to just not control your breath. That's more just watching the breath and letting the body breathe itself, and then we find how tight we are. But for this one, actually, it's good to control it, mainly because your focus, you're trying to make it continuous without a break, and you follow it. And so then, your breath, you will control it and breathe in slower and out slower instead of like, which is how we normally breathe. We breathe in and then we just let the air come out. So this one is much more controlled. So I kind of feel if you are controlling your breath, then make it work for you and try and really follow that energy and become confident with that control rather than just being tense about it. And then at the end of the 9 rounds, then just relax and see what it's like to let go of that control. One of the ways that we relax our shoulders is to pull them right up to your earlobes, tight, 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 and then relax. Because you get the before and after, you can do it. So I think with the breathing as well, if you actually follow it and control the breathing, that helps you calm down. And then at the end of the exercise, focus less on the actual breath and more the energy. Focus on the energy because the breath may not match. And really you can feel the energy moving even if the breath is a little askew. The breath will start aligning itself. I've got to admit, like when I was doing attending meditations with Eddie, he breathes really slow, and one time I tried to match his breathing, I almost passed out, honestly. I was like, I do like 3 breaths to his 1. I'm like, how is this guy still alive? So our breathing, the physical breathing is really quite different for all of us, and it depends what we've been doing and how stressed we are. But with this 9-round breathing, it's a way of actually recalibrating our energy. So focus on the energy rather than the breath and see how that goes. It might just be a little, you just need a little bit less focus on the actual breath itself. Yeah. Okay, so you're trying to make your in-breath and your out-breath the same duration.
Yes.
Yeah. Breathing in the 4 parts, which I've never been able to do. I can only breathe in 3 for some reason. But anyway, the 4 parts, breathing in, the pause, breathing out, and the pause. So I breathe in, I have no pause. I breathe out, I have a big long pause. It's really weird. I haven't been able to get all 4 even, but they say to have the same duration for the in, the pause, the out, and the pause. So that actually requires a bit of control to start with. And then in the end, it becomes natural. So it's like we're retraining ourselves. So if you have all those 4 parts, then it's like being perfectly balanced. But the reality is we're not perfectly balanced, so we're going to have an imbalance one way or the other. And I think personally for myself, often I breathe out and I just don't know if I'm ever going to breathe in again. It's really, and when I'm really tired, like I don't for ages and ages, I kind of had to jerk myself kind of almost like awake to breathe in again. So, yeah, that's what I noticed about exhaustion. So it'd probably be better if I could breathe in and hold it for the same duration, and keep some oxygen in my system. But Barbara, what you were saying, so when you breathe in and you have that pause with the physical breath, the energy is still moving. Yeah, so you breathe in and maybe up to here, the in-breath stop, but you pause and the energy keeps going. Then by the time it gets down to here, you breathe out and you pause. So it's like a continuous circle with the energy, but the breath, it's in and a pause and out and a pause. Lama Yeshe's often said, this is better than TV. And once you start getting into it, it's infinitely interesting to see what's going on, what we're trying to do and how it accords with our reality. And it's basically trying to tame our system. Yeah, so there is an amazing video of His Holiness the Dalai Lama doing this breathing meditation. So he actually blocks off one nostril and then the other. I haven't learnt that, but it's actually a way where he moves like this, and then he also does something with his arm. So all of that, it looks like a yoga exercise, but actually it's working with all of our subtle channels on a physical level first, and then it gets to the nervous system really very effectively. So I did find that video. If you want it, just email the centre and I can send you the link of His Holiness actually teaching this breathing meditation. It's absolutely mesmerising to watch. It's really amazing to watch. Yeah. This more just in imagination is how I was taught by Geshe Tashi Seri. And he actually just taught the 9-round breathing how we normally do, which is just breathing in light and breathing out the darkness and oppression. No channels, no nothing, just really, really simple. But after a while, you can start imagining those channels and really try and imagine them clear and supple, because as we imagine them, the actual channels will start aligning with that. It's very helpful. It kind of helps the process along. Do you start with the left? Do you start with the right? Do you start by breathing out or do you start by breathing in? It all depends which version you're doing. Sometimes if you're just doing the very simple breathing in light and breathing out darkness, you actually start by breathing out all the negativity so that you create some space, a vacuum, and into that vacuum floods in all the light. That's kind of the simple way. But this way, because we're breathing in the light and it's pushing out the darkness, you start by breathing in. With left or right? Well, I just try and start with the left because that's kind of to do with then future tantric practices. And it's kind of auspicious to start with the left with everything. It's not one's not better than the other. You just think what it means. So the left-hand side is usually to do with the wisdom side. And the right-hand side is usually to do with the compassion or skillful means side. So it depends which one you lead with. It doesn't matter. You start with skillful means and compassion, or you start with wisdom, either's going to be good. So it's just actually as a way of bringing awareness to it. Often all the attachment you breathe out through the left channel, all the anger and aversion out through the right channel. So that's kind of like a generic thing, and then all of the ignorance through the central channel. But again, it depends on which practice that you're doing. So, and it can also be swapped over and be the opposite for men and for women. And again, many of these meditations, it's not like it's this or it's that. It's the purpose of the meditation. Because whatever we imagine, that's going to become the reality. We're working on it. So the last thing we want to do is imagine all of our channels and chakras all squished up and whatever and misshapen and malformed like they probably are, right? Because if we imagine that, then we're just going to end up like that. So imagine them all beautiful and flexible, perfectly symmetrical, and then eventually the reality accords with it. So then it depends on which lineage, which practice, which one it's associated with as to which one you start with, or what side is what. But yeah, I was really surprised when Geshe Zopa was saying about, well, actually, it depends on which yoga tantra practice you're doing, and then it depends on whether you're a man or a woman, which side does what. So however deep you want to dive, you will find it. Go back to the source, Ruby, of where you got the meditation. Because if you add in a bit, if you add in another bit of the channel from, say, for instance, from one nostril to the next, it may or may not be a good idea. So if you add it in, it's gonna be there, and you may not. If that's not in the formula of the meditation, I wouldn't add it in. Because also, I have heard stories of where people get right into imagining all the channels in their body, and then going, "Oh, let's experiment. Let's imagine all the channels going out like this, for instance." And so one person did this, just experimented, and because their focus was quite clear, they moved where those subtle channels went, and it disturbed their energy. And so when they went and asked the Lama said, once you start imagining, for instance, that your channel's got a kink in it or it does this extra thing, that's where the energy will go. And once it starts going in a place where it shouldn't, where it's going to unbalance you, it's very hard to get it back again. Really, really difficult. So that's why we always want to imagine them perfect, because that's where we want it. So if you're going to add in an extra channel here or there, Ruby, I would be very, very careful and actually go back to the instructions of the meditation and see why it's difficult for you. The synchronizing the energy in the breath might take a very long time. In my case as well, that's right. The breath is way over and the energy hasn't quite started, and so you're gulping and running for it. I think that's the whole point of the process, is to slowly synchronize it. But so you just let the breath do what it does, but you follow the energy. In the end, we want to be able to match the breath and the energy. But if you try and force it straight away, it's not going to work. So we want to make it a nice, gentle process.